man-to-man, but there were times I had to get him man-to-man.
And your favorite team that you guys love to face in your division?
Yours.
Yes, sir.
Likes the games like we play against the Raiders, you might get 3 sacks. When they had Jamarcus Russell, which I did. So I got 3 sacks on them in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ready, and they take Tommy Maddox.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of West War Room Rivals, where rivals collide, brought to you by JBW Solutions. We are here in the JBW Solutions studio. We're going to go ahead and do a quick roll call, starting with Cody.
What's good, everybody? It's Cody representing Raider Nation.
Shovix.
All right. What's up, everybody? Austin here, representing Chiefs Kingdom, baby.
I'm Corey, representing Broncos Country. Let's roll.
And I am Matt, also representing Broncos Country, and I'm going to be your host for the day. Guys, we have a very special guest. He was actually our first guest when we started the show. Coach Dick Vermeil is backstage right now. Before we bring him on, we're going to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. Again, thank you, JBW Solutions, veteran-owned, safety-driven, community-focused. Also want to thank Badger Barrel Cookers. They sent the entire crew these awesome smokers. We use it every weekend. In a world of butterflies, be a Badger. Shank It Golf, Homage, shout out to them. And Emporia State Federal Credit Union. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. But guys, yeah, without further ado, again, as I say, we're joined by Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion head coach Dick Vermeil. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Coach, welcome back.
How you guys doing? All right.
Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Hey, thank you.
Anything new since July when we had you on last?
No, not really. Just a few days older.
Okay.
That 90 stuff is scary a little bit, but I'm doing all right. I'm rehabbing 7-hour back operation I had in December that sort of seems to reached a plateau. I don't know if that has to do with my age or just that's what it takes to rehab a back operation. But I'm doing all right. No pain.
Good.
And driving my wife crazy. I'm in good shape.
You got it. I mean, you only got one job, and that's to make sure that she's on her toes, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
70 years. She's putting up with me. She's a saint.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys, we ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Coach, I've got the leadoff question here. As you know, I'm sure you've been keeping up with football nowadays. My Raiders are not doing so well right now. Obviously, Pete Carroll coming in, it's a culture change and all that stuff. So they're getting familiar with each other, working out the kinks. So what's the most important message to a team when they're struggling and still trying to establish their identity?
Well, I think, you got to make sure you know that hard work's not a form of punishment. You're not being punished. You're just not playing well enough. And if you keep working hard, you're going to get better. And that staff has got a lot of experience on it. They know what they're doing. And, I used to believe, and I still do to a certain extent, when you take over a new team, you make them worse before you make them better. You change everything. You change the snap count. You change the huddle. You change the cadence. You change the terminology. You change the defense. You change the special team. And sometimes they don't respond real well. It's because they're not used to hearing it. They're still thinking about it when they line up and play, and it takes a while to go on. Chip Kelly's not a rookie. I've watched him coach here in Philadelphia 2 years in a row. He won 10 wins, 10 games. So he knows what he's doing. He's had success. And obviously there's something wrong. Number one, the teams are playing a little bit better right now. Number two, the turnovers and these kind of different things. It's hard to play perfect your first year. My first year back at the Rams, hell, we lost 8 in a row. That's hard to do. You almost have to try. Okay. 3 years later, we won all team. Okay. But, you got to be patient. You don't want to start second guessing the coaching staff. Yeah.
Gotcha. So for Raider fans like myself, what would be like just patience? Is that what you would say? Or would you give them a line of encouragement of like, it will get better before it gets worse? What would you say for Raider fans?
Well, I think look for the small wins. look for the few big plays. In each game, you're going to start getting more as they get better.
Mm-hmm.
You might play, let's say you play a 60 to 65 play game, both offensively and defensively, and all of a sudden you get, a few more good plays every week, and pretty soon you're up to 45, 50 good plays a game.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're up to, when you're into the 58 and 60 categories, then you start winning. It just takes time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, everyone gets a little bit banged up. They lose a starter here and there. But, I don't follow the Raiders that close out here because everything's about the Eagles here on the East Coast, the Giants last night, and that kind of stuff. But
right.
I think you just got to remain positive and don't allow doubt to enter your mind as a coach and as a player.
Right. I'm sure Pete Carroll is channeling that Jon Wooden phrase that you said, just ignore all the critics because they don't know anything. 1 minute you're good, 1 minute you're bad. Just knock out all the noise.
Well, Pete Carroll has coached a number of teams,
Mm-hmm.
and there have been a number of teams that he coached that didn't start out very well. They ended up getting him fired,
Yeah.
So he's been there. He knows how to handle adversity. He will use it as an ally, sort of fertilizer for the future. But, he's not a finger pointer. He's not a blamer or a guy that looks for someone to point the finger to. I look for him to get him going. I look for him to get him better before the season ends. Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Cody, that's remember that for the Raiders. This season it might be bad, but it's the fertilizer for the future. I like that.
That's a bar right there. I'm going to remember that.
Stay patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember that when we have to talk you off the ledge again.
Yeah. Before I have another crash out moment.
Yeah. All right, Coach. But we'll move on to the good team here, the Chiefs. Chiefs Kingdom. They are a little worse this year than what we're used to. So when you've had the success like the Chiefs have had in recent seasons, do you think this season is caused by, fatigue by the Chiefs or teams finally catching up to them, do you think?
I just think, they started out the year with some players that they were missing. They started out with a rookie left tackle who continues to improve. The offensive line's getting better. They're getting healthy. Some guys coming out of suspension. I look for them to really start being the Chiefs at a high level again here soon. No one's going to outsmart or outcoach Andy. Okay, that's just it just won't happen. They'll get beat from time to time because they turned the ball over or didn't make the play, or throw the interception on the 1 yard line. Whatever's going to happen, but I look for them to really excel as the season goes on now.
Coach,
when you have everyone was talking about Chris Jones. Yeah, when everyone was talking about Chris Jones in that last play, how do you handle a situation where obviously that's kind of takes over the attention? How do you keep everyone kind of focused on what at hand than kind of maybe what a player's doing after a play?
Well, Chris Jones has been around a while. He was very immature when he came in there, and he gradually learned what he had to do to be a pro football player. He grew up, became a better man each week. He was under Andy Reid. I think when you're on a staff and a great staff like Andy Reid has there, they know their players. They know them real well. They know them inside, personally, and outside, emotionally. And whenever someone gets out of line, they know how to handle it because they know the person. You've got to be careful today in the modern world of overreacting, because so much is made out of one snap, Mike. The media today are just, and it's not bad. That's what propels the game, but it's just so much of it. And everybody's looking for a new thing to talk about. And every once in a while, it's an individual,
Mm-hmm.
But, he's a great football player. One of the top 5 defensive tackles in the league. And when he really wants to, he can enter into maybe the number 1 or number 2 defensive tackle in the league. But on average play, he's probably between number 5 and number 8. Still a fine player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Newland knows what to do with it, believe me. Yeah. Sometimes you could ask you in work. It depends on how mature or immature he is. Okay. I've been around him a couple of times. I sort of like the guy. Yeah.
So I guess, Coach, this one kind of ties into Corey's question. You've been known to connect emotionally with your players. So how do you help a guy handle like adversity and get his confidence back up?
Well, the longer you know him, the more you know about him and know how to approach him.
Mhm.
I always tried to remain positive with a guy going through problems. And if that didn't work, then I became a little more direct and define the problem and then try to put together a plan that will help them solve the problem. And then when you can't, then you get rid of them. Football coaches aren't child psychologists. They're out of the diapers. They should be able to handle adversity. They're making a lot of money, sometimes too much money. And that sometimes distorts how a player thinks or might think. But the coaching staff today, what's the average staff? 25 guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to build a larger room just to have a meeting.
Yeah.
When I came into the league as a head coach in 1976, I had 10 assistants, 3 more than anybody else in the league. Okay. It's amazing today. I don't know what they do with them all, but maybe it shortens the day. Maybe it details each individual position a little bit better. But there's a lot of guys, and I'm sure there's enough support staff to help solve the problems for individuals. But it's usually a collective effort, And the superstar today might be a little harder to handle than in the old days. In the old days, you could get rid of somebody if you wanted to trade them. Now with salary cap and all these kind of things, you've got to make sure you can try to solve the problem before it's a major problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then today, like with some of the modern players, I think, and other coaches have kind of alluded to this, that sometimes their criticism that they receive more constructive in trying to build them up, they take it as, tearing them down. And there's just that, I guess, language barrier for lack of a better term of like, I'm trying to make you better, even though this message is tough love, and just seeing how they respond to that, I think just goes to show the different dynamics of generations that now play this game today than when you were coaching,
Right. And, they're raised different. My dad raised me differently than his father raised him. I raised my kids different than my dad raised me. I see my grandkids raising their children different than they raised. It's just a problem is sometimes it's a trend to make it easier for them.
Yeah.
In the NFL, there is absolutely no easy way. It's a tough way to make a living. And if you aren't mentally and physically prepared to handle it on a daily basis, the highs and the lows and that kind of stuff, then you probably don't belong in the league. But, some guys keep playing because they're making so much money, so they're just playing to keep collecting money. In the old days, that wasn't true.
Right.
So a lot of guys, I coached in the 69s and early 70s, they had summer jobs, pay their bills.
Right.
I just think that the game has become so sophisticated, so over officiated, so many cameras. My gosh, they can see if your shoelace is untied.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play on that, the overhead cameras, and now all these different extra cameras, and the camera on the stick line. If whether you made the first out, they don't always use it, but it's so over technical today. You got to be careful it doesn't take away from just the game.
Yeah.
Let them play.
Yeah. I got a question for you about the Eagles specifically. And obviously last night they played and they lost, but this season, at least I'm noticing a lot more controversy around the tush push, because like last night they used it 4 consecutive times on a 3rd and short, 4th and short, 1st and 2nd goal, and they scored ultimately. What's your thoughts on the play in general?
I don't like the play. I wouldn't vote against it because, but I wouldn't like it. I just as soon see it not in the game. It all stems also from pushing a receiver or runner downfield. Once he's crossed the line of scrimmage, you can come up. I don't like that rule, but once they allowed that to enter into the rules as okay to do, then it opened the door for a tush push. And no one does it as well as the Eagles. It's hard to officiate. Last night we saw the guy move again, the right guard, and it was a week ago, the same thing. I cannot see why an official can't see that.
Right.
For criminy sakes, he's only 10 feet away from him, for criminy sakes. You can damn near hear him burp, and you can't see him move. But that, no one does it better than the Eagles. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think
the Giants used a running back to do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what we all used to do. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is it's not a very pretty play, because we were just talking about how the game is a lot more sophisticated, a lot more moving parts. It's not the prettiest play, but it's the most effective we've seen. I think I would equivalate it to like in the NBA, you had the skyhook with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and there's really no defense for it. And I think that's what's frustrating is the NFL has always found a counter for something, and this is the one play. It truly isn't a counter if you're really, really good at it. And it's been, I think it has like a 94% success rate, I think is what it is. So it's just a play that like, it's not pretty, but it's football. But at least this season, there's a lot more controversy around it than before, because if you take that,
Cody, the other big thing that people don't discuss about that push is it eliminates the threat of the big play. I can't tell you how many games in my career, a big play on 4th and inches, the surprise pass or something off, or the 3rd and inches surprise pass off that, downfield that connected and big play. The push eliminates that opportunity. Now they ran a trick play out of it in the goal line a week ago, against Denver, and the guy just walked in out there, So but out in midfield and all that kind of stuff. How many times do you watch people, especially they go, okay, it's 4th down and inches, 4th down, and all of a sudden they look like they're going to run. They run a play action pass, bang, there's a tight end running clean, or the wing run, or the back out of the backfield. That's eliminated. The defense has defined what they're trying to stop. They just can't stop it.
So give me kind of a feel for how Philadelphia is going with 2 straight losses right now. There was a lot of talk about the meeting and how the locker room's going with those guys. What are you seeing as far as the Eagles go?
Yeah. Well, Philadelphia on an annual basis is over-evaluated. Like I said in the little radio bit this morning that I do on Friday mornings, that we tend to evaluate the Eagles as they were last year. They're not what they were last year. They're not the same team. There's different guys playing, and then the other night there were guys not playing that are here but weren't healthy to play. You got to evaluate them as the team they are right now. They are not a real good football team right now. The 4-0 season they started with, they were very fortunate. And normally when you win a game because you were really fortunate to win, you lose a game you should have won. Okay, you lose a game you should have won, definitely. And it usually balances out through a 17 or in the old days 16 or even a 14 game schedule. And they won 4, probably. They could have easily lost. Last night they lost 1 they should have lost, and they aren't the team they were. Will they ever become the team they were? Maybe not.
Do you think it's because they're getting a little bit more figured out, or do you think it's the continuity? There's just some divide in there that's causing them to not hit their full potential.
Well, it's a different year. Defensive coordinators had a whole year to watch that running game, and I think they're doing a good job of attacking a line of scrimmage and not giving him any opportunity to get started. He got one little crease initially in the game. Of course, and I really think, and I've always say this, I'm outspoken about it, there's too much shotgun in everybody's formation except Detroit. And maybe the Rams and the old-fashioned running games where there's a tailback running downhill. They could pick us old, bounce it outside, inside. You watch the 49ers, you see what Detroit, you see it. When you get too much shotgun, it starts, I think, eliminating opportunities for the running back. They're always looking for how many guys in the box. You know something? Who is it? Emmitt Smith. How many yards did he make? Do you think they worried about how many guys went in the box? Only thing he worried about is the offensive line. Give me an inch. Then he made 12. Then he made 18. Then he broke a loose. Yeah. I can remember Tony Dorsett running through an 8-man front like it was only 4 guys there. Okay. We get too concerned with head counts.
So, Coach, my question for you is, if you're Nick Sirianni, what's your message to them? Like, what's your message to the locker room right now? How are you getting your guys back in the fight?
Well, first off, you got to hold people accountable. And when you have the trust that I think he's established and the belief in the program that he's established, probably a lot of guys doing a real good job of holding themselves accountable. They don't need a coach to hold them accountable because they know they don't want to let the other guy down. But sometimes you can be too nice. Sometimes you got to let the crap hit the fan, and you got to be on somebody. And you can sort of rest on your laurels. That's really hard to do in the NFL. really hard to do. And then they get the receivers. Well, I only caught 2 passes. I only made 8 yards. Well, that's a lot of money per catch. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And you hope that they're mature enough to hold themselves accountable. If they're not, then a coaching staff has to hold them accountable.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting season. Coming off of a Super Bowl victory, I don't think they've had this much pressure on them since they won when they had Doug Peterson. So I think this is just a little bit different of a situation they now have to face. They are now being the hunted, not the hunters.
Right.
And I think that's just a different mentality that you have to face every game now. Everyone's giving you their best, like what the Chiefs are getting.
Right.
Always getting the other team's best because they want to make a point to knock off the world champions.
Yeah, we can play with you guys. We'll show you. Yeah.
Right.
But today with the training camps as they are, they're not like they used to be. I'm not saying they're worse or better. They're just not what they used to be. In the old days, you could better discipline a tempo with which you play the game because of practice sessions, tough, hard, long contact, banging around. And actually, I think fewer injuries than they experience today. But today, it's hard to establish that tempo with which you practice, that you carry it right over in the game. Now, they all say they're working hard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just watch offensive line fundamentals the first 4 games of the season. Boy, they're not very good. It's like the first 4 preseason games. But they don't play in the preseason. So It's regular season games. Now, they don't lower the price of the ticket. They still charge the fan the same amount of money.
That's right.
But the product is not as well prepared to play at the level that they really have the ability to play.
Yeah.
A lot of teams will get better from here on out. If you don't get better from here on out, you're just not a good football team. Yeah.
Also, Coach, the last time you were here, we were talking about Brian Schottenheimer and getting his first head coaching spot in Dallas. I'm just curious, how proud are you to see that he's got this Dallas Cowboys team playing hard? I mean, they took the Eagles to the brink of 1 possession, and it came out with an overtime tie to what some will say are NFC favorites in Green Bay. So how proud are you to see Brian Schottenheimer getting this team being competitive and Dak looking like an MVP candidate? How are you feeling about that?
Well, naturally, I'm very proud, but I'm not surprised at all. I have all along thought, why in the hell isn't somebody giving this guy a head coaching job? You just look at it in Seattle. For some reason, they decided to remove him as offensive coordinator, and the offense was never as good after. Never. And nobody is throwing the ball right now offensively any better than they are. They're really throwing the ball downfield and dink and dunk and be happy with a 3-yard completion. They're getting the ball downfield, without their best guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all the years that he prepared himself to be a football coach. And I am not surprised. I've known him since we were in high school because I used to broadcast all the Chief games when I was in broadcasting from 1989 all the way to 1996. I was at their training camps every year. I was doing the preseason games, and I was sitting in a meeting room or sitting in the cafeteria with Brian Schottenheimer. And I always thought he one day will be a fine football coach. It's in his DNA. He can't help himself. His dad ought to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm in there. He sure as hell ought to be in there. My God. Yeah. But I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm really surprised that he hadn't been given the opportunity sooner. Yeah. Well, you get all these headhunters looking for coaches, and they never ask a former coach.
Oh, yeah.
I've been asked one time. Should I hire? Okay, one time.
Well, I think to what you were saying earlier, I mean, fan bases, ownerships now, they don't have the luxury or don't want to have the luxury of keeping a guy for 5-6 years when probably that's when culture sets in. That's when everything starts kind of clicking together. That's when you finally get a team and they want it done in a year, 2 years, like I'm sure a lot of teams are looking at the Chargers and Harbaugh. First year, they make it to the wild card. Now, granted, they had a lot of good parts already in place, and you just put a good leader in there and he, gets them successful. I'm sure a lot of teams are looking at that and saying, that's what I want. And rather than give a guy a chance or, however long that chance takes, they're really quick to say, no, it's not working and change. Like the Raiders, for example, we're on our 4th head coach in 5 seasons, like we need more stability than any team, but we're not willing to wait the 3 seasons, the 4 seasons, the 5 years.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're 100% correct. They had Jon Gruden. He could flat ass coach. All right. He's a character. He's an original piece of work, John. It's okay. I've known him since he was a freaking graduate assistant at Tennessee. Okay.
Right.
But, and I love the guy, but in fact, I think he ought to be coaching. I really do, regardless of all the stuff that went on. But anyway, they had one and he had it going. Okay. And then it's been downhill since.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, give him time. If he wants to stick and stay, he will turn it around.
No, I believe it. I think to my point and to your point is some of these coaches don't get a long enough opportunity to turn around a culture. Like they need time.
Yeah.
You're dealing with different personalities, as we talked about. Not everyone is going to be on the team when you're taking over, and probably when the team is having the most success, because it takes time to build a team that is going to be successful.
Cody, I've taken over 3 teams. 2 of them were the losingest teams in that period of time. Okay. And we ended up winning. And if your ownership supports you and your general manager supports you and your staff works, winning is not complicated. People complicate it. And I've always believed that you just have to stay with what you believe and develop the trust. So when you communicate, they're listening. They're not just hearing you, so they're listening to you. You'll get it turned around. And I'm fortunate at the Rams, when I get there, some of the draft choices they made were really good. They just they were young and had to be put together. There were 9 players on that roster in 97 when he took that team over. 3 years later, we're world champions. Only 9 guys on the whole roster. But everybody else from then on, they bought in, and they build the culture, right? They help you set the standards. The Mike Joneses, some of these guys, Ray Agnew's, these guys, and then all of a sudden you had Marshall Faulk. You become a hell of a running back coach, and these kind of guys. Torrey Holt comes in as a first-round pick. It just it's a process. And you've got to stick with your process. And when you're losing, you can't beat them down. You don't want losing to define who you are.
Right.
You define where you are, but then you project in where you're going by doing what you're doing. Yes.
Yeah. So let's jump into some Raiders week talk. Obviously, the Chiefs got the Raiders coming up after the Lions this week. Can you kind of walk us through your first Raiders week as a Chiefs coach and kind of what the vibe was like around the team? I know that you said when we first talked to you that you didn't have the hatred for the Raiders that like the fans and some of the players did, but kind of walk us through what the vibes were in your first Raiders week as the Chiefs coach.
Well, I can tell you this. I saw the Raiders when they were playing on a junior college football team in the East Bay. Okay, That's where they played their games. Okay. The very first year I watched them play at a junior college field, nobody there. So I know the history of the Oakland Raiders and now Las Vegas Raiders. I just believe they obviously have made some mistakes in leadership that just didn't work, or at least they didn't give them time. Personnel is not good enough. Normally, the number one reason you lose is you don't have good enough players, or you don't have the quarterback that can take advantage of the good players you have. There's reasons they're not there, and they're still looking. They're still looking for that guy, really. And they have the old timer, and he's had some big games, not playing well right now, but he's had some in his career. Pete knows him, Seattle. But, and Al Davis is gone. The mystique. The mystique of Al Davis. He was a bright son of a gun. He was way ahead of everybody for a long time. Okay. And the people copy him, gradually catch up.
Yeah. Do you have any good stories from any interactions or any times you met with Al Davis?
Yeah, I have a few. Some I can't tell.
Okay. Fair enough.
You're not the first one to tell us that.
Yeah.
Mike White, God bless him, and myself, when we were at Stanford, Al Davis used to pay us to send reports on our players on the Stanford team and the opponents we played. If we saw somebody good played at UCLA or something, we'd send them a report. And at Christmas time, he'd send us $150.
Oh,
Holy mackerel! You know, getting $150 when you're making $6,800 a year was a lot of money. And we would talk to him once in a while. I remember him calling me about George Peter. Remember George Peter?
yep.
He was a great football player and a great guy at Stanford. And I got to coach him on my freshman team even. But anyway, then you send me information on George Peter and what you think, and then he calls you and talks to you. And he might call you at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. I mean, surprise the hell out of you. That's how he was. He just didn't have especially when he was younger. He never had the ability to turn it off. He was always on football. And he was, he's very close to Bill Walsh too. Bill worked for him 1 year and quit. You may remember, and he went and coached the San Jose San Jose Patriot. I can't remember their last name, but anyway, Bill left the Raiders after 1 year in pro football after leaving Stanford and went and coached the San Jose semi-pro team. Before then, he ended up going to Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's.
Well, I actually ended up going. I think he went to Cal with Marv Levy. Yeah.
Okay. So when we had Christian Okoye on, he said that Al Davis said that they wanted to draft him, but they ended up picking up another player. I'm forgetting the name of it. But every time, Christian and the Chiefs would come into Oakland or the Raiders came in, he made sure to make them pay for it.
Yeah. Well, the old Oakland Raiders stadium made you pay for it when you got in there. You flush the toilets and everything would run over. You take a shower and your shoes in your locker are floating. That was I don't know what their locker room was, but the visiting team was a pit and not a nice pit. Okay. I think sometimes they did it on purpose.
So like what Corey was saying, when you first obviously were taken over as the Chiefs head coach, do you have what was it like during meetings when it was Raider week? Did ownership, did management really want you guys to play well to put an emphasis on Raider week? Was that how it was when you were?
Lamar Hunt was not a fan of the Raider organization or Al Davis. He would never say anything bad about anybody, but it was obvious he didn't care for the way they did things and all that, and he questioned it. And that infected Carl Peterson. And Carl would always drum up Raider week. And we would try to, but I never had the deep hatred for them. Early I did because they kicked the hell out of us all the time, But and then we gradually caught up so we could beat them. But in Kansas City, it's hard. I think it's hard for the younger people to carry on Lamar Hunt's dislike for the Raiders. But when I got there, it didn't take long to find out that they didn't care for him, and that it was the one game that just Lamar would love to win every year. And there was no finer owner in the NFL than Lamar Hunt. What a gem. A wonderful human being. Yeah.
All right. Who's got the follow-up?
Yeah. So, Coach. Yeah, I got you. Just from your perspective, what do you think made the Chiefs and Raiders rivalry so special? Was it coming down from the ownership? Was it, did some players really buy into it? What do you think made it just so special?
Well, I think Lamar created it. He created that atmosphere. And then Carl Peterson and Marty Schottenheimer perpetuated it. And Marty Schottenheimer was really good at carrying on a vendetta. I forget what his loss record was against him, but it was pretty good.
Yeah,
but Marty had the great ability to carry on that vendetta. We got to beat the Raiders. You beat the Raiders, everything else will take care of itself. The game after and everything else, but we got to beat the Raiders. And Marty Schottenheimer himself and Carl Peterson did a great job of it.
I feel like that was everyone's goal. Even Pat Bowlen from the Broncos, his goal every year was beat the Raiders. So was that always on the top of your list of priorities, or?
Well, when I took each team I took over, there was a team they had to beat. And when we came to Philadelphia, you have to find a way to beat Dallas. When you can beat Dallas, you can include the other teams in the division, at least split with them and maybe beat them twice. Mm-hmm. When I went to the Rams, St. Louis Rams, it was the 49ers. The 49ers beat the Rams 17 times in a row. That's great football on their part, but hard to lose 17 times in a row to the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it was the 49ers. And when Steve Mariucci was there, and I had a lot of respect for Steve. We're good friends to this day. And so I couldn't hate him, and I had the kind of respect for him in terms of they were doing a great job, and we got to find a way to beat them. We've got to do equal coaching job as they were doing, you know. So, and when I went to the Chiefs, it was Denver, and the Raiders. Had two teams there.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Denver 5 years in a row and never won. We could lead in every quarter. Halftime, third quarter, minutes to go, we were behind. Okay, 5 years in a row. I many times I felt they should leave me home and just go play without me. You know, they were tough for us. We could beat them at home. we could beat them in Kansas City. We just could not. And Shanahan, he's a Hall of Fame football coach. One of the finest coaches I ever got to coach against. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. Today, I don't know what you got to do as a coach to get in there, but he belongs there with Holmgren and Tom Coughlin. Those guys all belong in there. But Shanahan was a pain in the ass to coach against, I'll tell you, and a great guy. I first met him when he was a young offensive coach with Bill Walsh.
Oh, yeah.
Before anyone knew who he was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Next one, guys.
Who's got the next one?
Yeah. Sorry, I think we're kind of lagging behind, so that's on us. That's our bad. So I do want to bring up Sean Payton right now has the Broncos playing really well. He's obviously a Bill Parcells kind of disciple. He was on Bill Parcells' staff. What was it like going against Bill Parcells and kind of his, you know, he was a tough-nosed guy and a really good motivator, and Sean starting to kind of get the Broncos into that mold of him. So I'm just curious on what Bill Parcells was like.
Well, you know, Parcells could be a motivator and an intimidator at the same time. He was both categories, you know, and he had to be what he was because that's what he was, you know. I first met Bill Parcells when he took over the defense as an assistant coach to Perkins. And the first time I met him was pregame warm-up in the old Vet Stadium. And I ran my own offense in the old days like a lot of guys did. And I called my own plays and coached my quarterback and all. I was doing everything. And I saw him standing on the sideline pregame warm-up. And I walked over and said, you know, I'm Dick Vermeil. I coach the Eagles. I don't know if I'm going to like you or not. You've really improved this defensive football team. You know, Bill Parcells to me is one of the 5 best coaches that ever coached this game. And many times I've said to myself, I wish I had more of him in me, because I could get too soft from time to time. Sometimes you got to call shit, okay? And I loved this on Instagram. There's always something where you find something on it, and him sideline comments and that. It's really good, really good. Yeah, but he to me was a great football coach, great, tough, demanding football coach. In fact,
do you see any like Sean Payton?
When I went back into coaching in '97, he was my consultant. I talked to him every week.
Nice.
He helped me a lot to get going. He really did, to get back in the swing of things. You know? Just, I guess, a mutual respect. I try to stay in touch with him right now. Yeah.
Do you see any of Sean Payton and Bill when you watch Sean on the sidelines?
Yeah, I do. You know, but he's running his own offense and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard to beat Bill, because when the quarterback came off the field, he would probably be better off going off the end of the bench and coming in from behind, so he didn't have to pass Bill, you know, like old Papa Bear. But anyway, Sean Payton, I think he's one of the best pass offense coaches. Mm-hmm. I mean, he gets the ball downfield. He doesn't do as much dink and dive stuff and the little stuff and all that kind of. He gets the ball, especially when he was at New Orleans and playing well when he had the guy. I mean, they dropped the ball in the area better than anybody I've ever seen do it. I think he's just a fine football coach. I really do, and it's just I'm envious of his ability to just keep going. I didn't have that kind of emotional stamina within my profile to keep going when you get older. Yeah.
Are you impressed with the quarterback that they have in Bo Nix? Do you think that Bo Nix and, you know, Sean Payton marriage is going to probably bring a championship back to Denver? Do you think that's got that kind of connection?
I just think I don't think Bo Nix has a choice.
Yeah,
I think
good answer.
Sean Payton will make him what he has the ability to be. I believe that, and it'll be the best thing that ever happened to Nix. Believe me. But he can throw the ball through a car wash without getting it wet. Yeah, boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
Just like this kid Dart last night.
Yeah.
Wow, when that thing leaves his hand, it's there. Impressive. But Sean Payton, they should have come to Philadelphia. They should have been undefeated. They lost 2 games they had no business losing.
Right.
And the Eagles had won some games they were fortunate to win. So I wasn't really surprised that Denver beat them. I was not surprised.
It's that tough defense. It's hard to compete against,
Yeah.
And
the
Coach,
offense is going to continue to get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to continue to get better.
Yeah. Coach, on the topic, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
Well, teams have to stay healthy to get better. It's in the old days, how we practiced, my left tackle, Stan Walters, my right tackle, Jerry Sizemore, and the center, Guy Morris, played 7 years. Okay, 7 years as starters for me. In between them, they missed 5 games in 7 years. And we worked a lot different. I think kids are better prepared for contact game day the way we used to practice. We didn't. Now we got guys, he didn't play. He's got a sore shoulder. He's got this. He's got that. They're overprotected. And they're not as well prepared for the intensity of the game Sunday. Plus, they're playing the game standing up. Most of them don't need shoulder pads. They're all like this. They push. And you watch Detroit come off the ball. Where's their pad level? Like there. But most people are up like this, like that. And that's just a newer way. It's better for the head. I'll promise you. It's better for the head. Yeah.
So I want to talk. We talked to you about the Chiefs offensive line when you were there, Willie Rope, all these, Casey Wegman, Orlando Pace, and St. Louis.
Now Brian Waters is nominated for the Hall of Fame, the left guard.
Yeah. So how did you have an eye for this on the trenches? Like, what were you looking for, and what made these guys stand out to you guys?
Well, that you have to be blind not to see it. Willie Rope, people thought he was over the hill. Carl Peterson, respected age. He brought Montana there late in his career. He brought the Raider running back late in his career. Okay. He brings Willie Rope coming off a knee operation there. And I believe, of course, a lot of guys don't believe me when I say this. The older you get, the harder you have to work to maintain the skills you once had. Today, there's a tendency they get older, they baby them. So they continue to play like an older player. When I tell people Claude Humphrey came here after being retired for a year, got into our program, set the tempo in our program. At 34 years old, he got 14 sacks. At 15 years old, at 35 years old, he got 15 sacks.
Jeez.
He was not a starter. He was a rotating defensive lineman at 34 and 35 years old. Why? Because he worked extremely hard. He could outwork any defensive lineman we had. That's why he played well as he got older.
Mm-hmm.
Now they play Sunday, they give an old guy Wednesday off. Jeez.
Yeah, they have the veteran schedule.
The days off. All right. Here we go.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, so Coach, on back to the topic of head coaches. When we had you on in July, you raved about going up against Jon Gruden. What was that like?
Well, Jon was innovative. He was creative. He could get a lot out of his offensive personnel. And I watched him when he was a young coordinator at the Eagles. Maybe I told you this. I used to sit in the skybox with the company I was representing, and I would bet $20 with everybody that Jon would take him down, score in the first drive, and more often than not, I won their money because he could analyze the defense well, see what they weren't doing well, see little weaknesses, and attack those areas efficiently. And football was in his blood. You can't help it. You watch him now; he's almost over the top now on that podcast that he does. But he's a football guy. Yeah, that's all there is to it. And I think in the middle of the night he wakes up, if he's going to hit the head, and he draws 3 plays in the shower as he's going to work. It's just with Jon Gruden. And if people used to complain he could get very intimidating and get really caustic. I never really believed in that approach, but that doesn't make somebody wrong and me right. It's just you got to be who you are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, like we talked about earlier in the show, we have a very special guest. He wanted to surprise you. He was a guest on our show not long after you. One of your former wide receivers, Sylvester Morris, is here. He's going to join us here.
My God. Sylvester Morris. My God. That poor guy.
Coach, what's going on, Coach?
Bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. How are you, young man?
I'm outstanding, Coach. It's good to see you again, man.
Well, it's good to be seen at my age. Not many people make it anymore.
Well, guess what?
Do you get back to Kansas City often?
With your red wine, you be good to live as long as you are, because I need to get some of that.
Salute.
Yeah. Mr. Morris, thank you for joining us, and thank you for helping us.
I talked to Trent the other day. He's doing well.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I talked to Eddie Kennison last week too.
Wow.
He's in Louisiana, doing well. Yeah.
You keep in contact with everybody, man. I'm starting to feel jealous. Like you don't tell them you caught up with me, man. What's going on?
I don't have your number. Yeah. I don't have your number.
We'll fix that after this podcast.
Of course, I see Will Shields at the Hall. I see Willie Rofe at the Hall and those kind of things. So it's nice. I talked to Eric Warfield the other day. He's in Dallas. He's thinking about moving. He's thinking about moving out of Texas.
Well, golf won't let Warfield move out of Texas. He loves golf too much.
Yeah. He wants to go to Arizona where he can play more golf. That's what he said.
Yeah. I'm about to tell you, the only way he'll move from Texas is to a place he can play more golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he told me. He wants to play more golf. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are other guys in Houston that of course, Derek Blaylock lives there, who played for us. And, Freddie Miller, who played for me with the Rams, lives there. And my God, Roy Nell Young runs that great school that played for me with the Eagles. So when I get back to Houston, I always see those guys. I used to go into Houston when we were selling wine on the road, which we don't do anymore. So I used to go into Houston 3 or 4 times, and I would see them each time. In fact, they would many times come with me to different functions I was put on and help me sell wine.
Well, look, I'm in New Orleans now, so whenever you come to New Orleans, I moved back home. So whenever you come to New Orleans, you let me know, and I help you promote your wine.
Yeah, God bless you.
I sure like to drink it.
Yeah, I look at him and I can remember the day in the practice field, he came down and re-injured his knee. All right, it's amazing how things flash back. We're working inside the dome that they had. This better dome today than it used to be. But it's amazing when you see players and you remember something that happened to them or something that happened. Bang! I remember him re-injuring the knee. Yeah.
I have a question about that. So Sylvester, on your perspective, when you injured your knee, what was it like when Coach had to come to comfort you about that? When you basically had to rehab to get back to the level of playing that you've been used to?
Well, it was the first coach I ever had come visit me in the hospital, although it was my first time ever being in the hospital.
That's probably why.
So, it was very unique. But what I would tell everybody is Coach Vermeil very much so cared for all his players. So, for me to get hurt, he came, he brought
thank you,
coordinator.
You guys made it easy.
Yeah.
Good players make it easy to care about them. I'll tell you a little story about that hospital thing. You remember Snoop Minnis when he came in?
Yep.
Splendid splinter. He weighed about 140 pounds, soaking wet. And he was always getting hurt. So he got hurt in one game. He ends up in the hospital. So Monday morning, my wife, Carol, goes to see him in the hospital, and they had him in a private room, and they say, she says, I want to see Snoop Minutes. He says, I'm sorry, he can't see you. She says, well, he's my son. Then they let her in to see him. But, Snoop, my God, if he had your size, he'd have played for 10 years.
Hey, amen. You're right about that.
He could catch a BB, that guy, but he just couldn't stay healthy. He's always banged up. Yeah.
Mr.
Sylvester,
Moore,
I do have
oh yeah, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Actually, Sylvester, I do have a question for you. So you had mentioned when we had you on the show that Coach would always bring players over by position group and they would have dinner at Coach's house. Was there a favorite meal that Coach would prepare for you guys that you always look forward to?
He had the steak and the potatoes for me. It was.
Tell you what we do.
And guess what? He was going
the New York strip, not cut into steaks, and they weigh 12 pounds or so, and we get 2 of them and grill them, and then cut them into steaks, and that would handle usually 16 players, 18 people, yeah.
And he always had a couple of great bottles of wine on the table.
Oh yeah, always had. So I served him wine.
Yes.
And, Morton Anderson is probably my best wine customer. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And he had a sophisticated palate. Me, I grew up with wine. Okay. I grew up helping my grandfather make wine, but I don't have a sophisticated palate. I just know what tastes good to me. And what do you like about it? I just like it. I can't break it down and give you all the nuances, the profile and the different senses and the different smells and all that. But I know I like it. But Morton Anderson was Todd Collins was another guy that had a very good palate.
Yes.
Very good palate. Eddie Kennison's not bad. Eddie Kennison probably spends more time in my Napa tasting room than I do. Okay. because his agent lives in Napa.
Yeah.
But, I've helped a lot of guys learn what a wine is all about. You get so you don't treat it as an alcohol. It's part of your meal. That's how I grew up. The French Italian. So, that's what you do.
I remember Todd and Morton, but Coach Vermeil, as humble as he is, he was the first person to ever have me start drinking wine. So I'm in the National Geographic Wine Club now.
Are you? Good for you. You feel good.
That's what's up.
It's definitely all your influence, Coach.
Send me your address. I'll send you some of my new stuff.
We could definitely do that because I would love to taste it.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, get me your contact. Write my number down. My cell phone. Then you can text me at 610.
Whoa, Coach.
Hold on,
look.
Hold on, Coach.
We are alive, Coach.
Yeah, let's not give your number out to the internet. We'll get you guys connected offline. I don't want you.
They'll send it. Look, they'll send it to me, and then I will contact you, and you'll know.
Yes, sir. We're going to protect you, and we're going to protect your contact number.
Willie
I promise you.
Likes our wine. Willie likes our wine as well.
Yeah.
You know who called me today? I called Casey Wigman the other day. He called me back today. He's hard to get on the phone.
Man.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from Casey in 20 years.
Not many people hear from him. Okay. When I in Kansas City, I see him, but I make contact with him 2-3 times a year, and I'll return his call tonight or tomorrow. But he lives out in the country. He's got a large piece of ground. He's got 2 great boys. One's an athlete, one's not an athlete, but a great student, and they're doing well.
I love to hear that. I love
he's always sort of quiet.
That's
and
beautiful.
now, did you know that Brian Waters was nominated for the Hall this year?
Yes, I was thrilled. Me and Brian, that was my guy. We came in together. So every time I see him do anything, I'm absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, well, you came in as first round pick. He came in as a free agent. When I got there, he was covering kickoffs.
Yes.
Wow.
He was good at that.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a big man that could run. Actually, the most powerful man I've ever coached in a real short area. Boy, he could control that one spot better than anybody I've been around. Very strong, very strong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, this has
So
been
I
awesome to
do
see
wanna
you two reconnect and share old memories. So I know Corey's got a question to follow up, but I got to say, we're taking so much joy out of watching you two reminisce, talking about certain players, and some of them we've actually had on the show. So it's kind of nice to see a little bit of overlap. But I just want to say thank you guys for blessing us with your time up to this point. It's been really fun to hear you guys catch up.
All right, thank you. Get Trent. Of course, Trent's always moving around. He's got a daughter playing now, volleyball in college, and he's got a son getting married, and he's got a son dating Clark Hunt's daughter. So he's doing pretty well.
Wow.
Well, the goal is to get as many great players on as possible, and maybe we'll have to ask your help on that. But Corey's got a couple of questions for you before we let you all go. So please don't go anywhere yet. But I just wanted to acknowledge that this conversation between you two has been a joy for me to listen and hear good times and see smiles on your guys' face.
That's hard coming from a Raider fan, man.
Oh. I'm a Raider fan, but I'm a fan of you guys for just sharing moments together. So I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
All right, Corey, go ahead.
So the first one I want to ask Sylvester, we asked Coach earlier about Raiders week, and I want to get your perspective of your first Raiders week with the Chiefs. What was that week like? What were the vibes like? Did Coach have to settle you guys down a little bit?
Well, Coach Vermeil wasn't my coach my rookie year, but the thing was I had watched so many NFL films on Raiders against the Chiefs and all they had went through. So when I first got there and I finally saw it was Raider week and they put Raider week up above the stadium, they put Raider week in the locker room, they let us know that, like, okay, this is it's another game, but it's not just another game. This is the Raiders. We want to beat them. We want to show them that we are the better team, and it was an outstanding experience.
Yeah, I remember that wasn't as big for me. Marty Schottenheimer's the guy that made it. Marty made it really big, for a long time there when both teams were really good. So the Raiders started out real good when we were there, and then they tapered off when Jon left and that kind of stuff. And Norvell Turner got there, but Norv was a great football coach. Just never could get it going big time again,
Well, he sure figured it out when he went to San Diego and beat us, I think, 8 consecutive times. So I think it worked out for him.
Yeah, you bet. Good football coach.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like Cody said, it was awesome to see you two reminisce and share those memories. And it's kind of like you guys have remained in touch from start to finish. It was awesome to see that. And that's truly the reward for, the other 3 guys up on the screen with me to see this. So, Coach, we appreciate your time.
Was a big surprise. I anticipated who the guest might be, but it wasn't Sylvester Morris. Okay. I thought it would be somebody living right there in Houston. The 4 or 5 guys that I know that
that's what I was about to tell him. Now, me and Dante still play golf together at least 2 to 3 times a year, right?
Good for you. Well, Dante and his wife have helped me with the wine business in their area there.
Yes.
North New Jersey, early in New York area there. And,
he told me, look,
they're doing a great job. They're great parents, and he's doing a wonderful. I'm very proud of him.
So he told me, and that was the first person I got to taste your wine from. So now I want to bring it to the South, so I can introduce people in the South about it and let them know.
Get me your address, and I'll send you some.
Oh, we gonna get it. I'm gonna get it to these young men, and I'm sure they'll get it to you. We gonna make that happen. Look,
that's a promise.
I tried to tell him that when I got married the first time, you tried to get me tickets to see what's that lady name? Godly. She had man, I forget that your lady name.
Celine Dion?
Yes, Celine Dion. That is it.
Yeah, well, my son-in-law was running Columbia Records at that time. And,
yes.
And he she was singing for Columbia, so I had a connection. But
Yep. That was it. Hey, he offered to give me tickets to that. I'll never forget that, man. That's when I knew. I was like, this Coach Vermeil, he's something special, man.
Well, thank you. God, you have good memory. Either that or you're getting old and forgetting.
Hey, look,
hallucinating like I do.
Both.
Yeah. We'll have to find a way to get Dante Hall on here. So so for you, Coach, you guys can reconnect and get a chance to talk.
He's a busy guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate where he'll interact with some of our posts, and he's very generous with us. But yeah, we'll have to find a way to surprise you with another player and have a full screen of nothing but former players. I think that'd be the dream.
Oh, that'd be fun. It'd be fun, but I won't screw it up and think it's going to be 7:30 in the morning show.
Hey, if we need to do it early, we'll just get everyone to buy into it.
All the years, I always had somebody they called them administrative assistants, and handles your calendar. And I tell you, I've gone to the airport on the wrong day. I've gone to a speaking engagement when I was supposed to be there the next day, and I get my calendar all screwed up. So I get mad. But I know probably it's my fault.
Oh, well, we'll forgive you on this one. I mean, you gave us more than enough of your time again, which I will
salute to you.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Salute. Ciao.
Thank you guys for everything. Appreciate it. Mr. Morris, thank you again for joining and letting us surprise Coach. You are a very generous man for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. Good to see you.
Take care. God bless you. All right, buddy.
Take care, Coach.
All right.
All right, Mr. Morris, how have you been since we haven't seen you in a minute? Hold on, before we go.
I'm outstanding. No complaints. I'm actually at Jackson State homecoming right now.
Yeah, they've got a big one. They got a big day tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
All right. You got what kind of stuff we got planned for tomorrow? What do they have you doing?
I'm tailgating. That's
all
it.
Right.
I'm a tailgate and I'm gonna enjoy homecoming like I'm one of the fans.
All right. What's the go-to tailgating food for you?
Steak and potatoes.
Sausage and hamburgers.
There we go.
There you go.
I like sauce. Okay. Steak is a little too much going into sit there in a game, you know.
Yeah.
You want to be a little lighter, so you might have some sausages, this, that, and the third, but I like sausages and potatoes.
All right, right on.
It's all cooked by
always
alumni football players.
Okay.
So it's always good to see those guys and eat their food.
Oh yeah. By the way, Mr. Oh, sorry, Mr. Go ahead.
It's usually DBs, and I get to beat them up and eat their food, which is great.
Yeah. Also, I do want to introduce you formally to Austin, who is the Chiefs fan. He was the one that was unfortunately unable to meet us there. And so we wanted to get you two to meet one another because he was so excited to have you. He couldn't make it. So I'm hoping that him getting a chance to meet you fulfills that. And so, again, thank you so much for joining us. And we got to have you on a third time so we can have you guys formally chat.
Yes,
also, very happy belated birthday, by the
way. I'm thrilled to finally meet you, Austin. Thank y'all for the belated birthday wishes. I'm thrilled. It's awesome, but we definitely got to come back on so me and Austin can talk about this guy with the black and yellow. He say his name Cody. I don't. It's hard to even say that.
I got you. I'd be honored to have you guys back. Yeah. Well, you back, of course, for Austin. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Morris, we're gonna let you go because I know you got a big day tomorrow. So, yes,
thank
sir.
y'all, man. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
You too. Be safe.
Good to see you.
Take care.
What a show, guys. What a show.
That was the dopest thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
Austin, how you feeling, dude?
Brilliant plan.
Did Coach's reaction when Sylvester Morris popped up, like,
not gonna lie,
I don't think I can actually put words to it.
Yeah, and the fact that they could have gone for like 2 hours and we couldn't have said a word. They would have just been those two. That couldn't have gone any better.
Mm-hmm. Man, just seeing. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, no, it puts things into perspective a little bit. We had a whole list of questions for both of them that we didn't get to because they kind of
took it and ran.
They took it and ran.
Yeah. We were the third wheel.
Yeah. And I would do it all over again.
Yes.
Yep. Same.
I couldn't imagine what it would be like if we got a couple other players on here too with Coach. Because again, I don't know how we can top the first time, but I think we did. Because obviously the first go around we were able to talk to him about him, right? But he never took credit for anything.
Yeah, no, we had to stop.
Yeah,
that.
we did have to stop.
No,
guys.
We have an obligation to protect Coach. We could not have let him do that.
Yeah, I'd hate for people that continue to take our guests get this one. So keep Coach to us. But to go back to what he was talking about the first go around, he didn't take credit for anything. He was obviously talking about his assistants. He was obviously talking about players. So now we get a chance to bring one of his former players on here and just hear about Jon Gruden, Mike Shanahan, all these other coaches that he went up against, and then to hear what he's talking about with what's going on with the Eagles. It was just a normal conversation, guys. Like, I don't know if we actually ended up asking any. We asked a handful of the questions that we had planned, but then it was he would take it, and it's just you get so
caught up
in it. Then you're kind of like, well, let's take what he's answering with, and let's ask a question off that. And he took it and ran. So the Jackson Dart stuff, the Eagles stuff, the tush push. It actually doesn't surprise me that he's not a fan of the tush push. Even though he's a whole old school, pound the rock type of guy that just doesn't, officiate the damn games.
Yeah, I think we could do a full 12-hour episode with Coach if we could sit and just do that, right? I feel like we could listen because we would just let Coach do most of the talking, and he would love to do that. But yeah, I'm so grateful for him to even give us an hour of his time, for Mr. Morris to pop in for the final, 15 to 20 minutes and just see them, kind of talk like old pals, like it hadn't been 20 years. Right.
Right.
I don't know. It's special. I think it's what makes what we're doing so enjoyable and so special is, we're not looking for the headline. We're not looking, for some secret mojo out there. We're just wanting to connect with these coaches and players and whoever else we get on. And in this instance, connect a coach with this former player where it's been a couple decades. It's truly just special.
Yeah. And the fact that he keeps up with a lot of his other players, and he was getting to tell Morris, hey, this is who I talk to, and this is how this person is doing. And so it looked to see Morris was enjoying the connection as much as, a coach was enjoying when Morris was on, and they were just talking about, this player, that player, reminiscing about when Sylvester got injured. So to be on the screen with them at the same time, probably top 5 moment for sure.
Oh yeah.
And again, like we said, just his reaction as soon as Morris popped on the screen, that reaction, just it shows you how much he cares about his players. Again, he was he's the only coach. Granted, I've only been in the hospital once, but he's the only coach that's ever come to visit me while I'm in the hospital. I mean, that just goes to show you, it speaks volumes about his character, how he was as a person and as a coach.
It's incredible. Fellas, do we have anything else? I mean, God, that was such a highlight.
I think we're good. Unless the brothers got something.
We're getting Carl Pickens back on the show again.
Yeah,
we are getting
Let's
Carl,
go.
who's just having casual conversations with my dad. So
So in my mind, it's Blaine Bishop and Carl Pickens would be a fun episode.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try to surprise Carl with
yeah, that would be.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think that they would start talking trash to each other?
I don't know. Both of them are very. They might, but both of them are kind of humble. And you already know Carl's I'm not going to talk trash to you unless you start it. And conversations is what he calls them.
Yeah, so, that's true.
Yeah.
So Carl had nothing but good things. I mean, Carl, obviously dropped Blaine Bishop on the show in a good way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Blaine Bishop obviously had the fun response of
He's
Carl's
7 foot
just
tall.
yeah, he's 7 foot tall. So it's like, no, I think there's some love there, and who knows?
I mean, they were teammates at one point in Carl's final year in the NFL. They were both on the Titans, so
yeah. I think it'd be very interesting, but I'm also very interested to hear. Yeah, I'm also very interested to hear Carl's perspective on the Bengals this season, especially with them adding Joe Flacco after this week and see what they look like when he starts. I know that Bishop told us how his thoughts on Cam Ward and how the Titans are looking. So I'm very curious to see from their perspective what their respective teams are doing to improve or whatnot. So that'd be a great time to talk.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gents,
so next week's gonna be set up a little different. I have work obligations Monday and Tuesday night, and then we pushed the guest Quika Mitchell to Wednesday.
Yep.
And then we're gonna do our reaction show Friday. Get you guys ready for next week, Raiders Chiefs. So we'll get you guys prepped and ready for that. So a little different of a setup next week, but I tell you, these guys have been working super hard with what we've been doing the last few weeks. I'm excited about where we're going. We feel like we're making the necessary adjustments to keep up and continue to grow. And thanks to everyone in the comments tonight in the chat. I know it's Friday night and a lot of people got stuff to do, but we just got to talk to Coach Dick Vermeil again. And Sylvester Morris again. So I'd say it was a pretty successful Friday night, and I'm ready to take it home when you guys are.
Yes, sir. Matt, get us home.
All righty. Again, thank you everyone to join. Thank you to Coach. Thank you to Sylvester Morris for joining us. Want to give a huge shout out to our number one sponsor, JBW Solutions. We are recording live from the JBW Solutions studio. So thank you to my dad, Jeff Williams, and his crew. They've been real help. They've been great working with us. Emporia State Federal Credit Union, Field Ops, Homage, Badger Barrel Grills. Again, they sent the entire crew smokers. So in a world of butterflies, be a Badger. I think I already mentioned them. But Homage, Beard Club, Shank It Golf. All the promo codes, the links are going to be down below. Make sure you guys go check them out. Check out their pages. And thanks again for joining, guys.
We'll see you guys next week.